Hey, it's Greg Schweitzer, your coach here at Catalyst Transformation Institute. And I want to take you on a journey today. I want to do something a little bit different here. And you can see that this video is titled, How Do You Define Success? This is a question that comes up a lot with people I work with. As a coach, success is what people are after, and that's why they hire me. But this is kind of a more important journey, more of a personal one that I want to take you through, because when we have a tendency to take a look at success, we are flooded with and draped with all sorts of other people's definitions and other ideas of what has come in months, years, weeks, and decades before us around what success is supposed to be, or what it is, or what it isn't, and on and on and on. And so I want to walk you through a little journey today, and I want you to play along with me, because I think you might find some interesting things that come out of this. We're going to go kind of a little bit into some layers of depth here that will make you think about success in a way that you probably haven't before. And I'm going to promise you that I think it's going to be refreshing. Okay? I really do think it's going to be refreshing. So let's begin with some questions. And actually, a lot of this is going to be questions, because questions are powerful in that they get us to focus on something different, something new. And so when we get to focus on new things, we get new perspectives. And when we get new perspectives, we understand things differently, and we approach things differently. And so let's approach success differently than you have before, just to see what it's like. Here's the first question. How do you know if you have success? Think about that for a second, right? Is success something you can have? Or is success something that you do? Success something that you own? Okay? Have you ever been successful before? How do you know that that was success? I mean, if you feel like you've been successful before, how do you even know that it was? How would you know if it wasn't a success? Next question. How do you know that when something didn't go well in the past, that it wasn't a success? Here's another question. Who are the people that you follow or have followed or admire who are successful? And what tells you that they are successful? How do you know what their success is? How would somebody else know if you were successful? Could they know if you were or if you weren't? Success is a really interesting word, and I'm curious, who did you learn your definition of success from? These are some very intriguing questions, and may not have answers that come out right away. But it gives us an opportunity to kind of take a look at the word or the idea of success from multiple different perceptual positions, right? Wondering who did we get our definition of success from? How do we know that when things didn't go well, it wasn't some form of success? And who gets to decide what success looks like? And so if I were to ask you, what is your definition of success? What would you say? Okay, now, you probably already have things coming up inside of you, but here's what's common for me. When I ask this question about success for people, just like I asked you right now, what's your definition of success? You know what's interesting to me is that people start coming up with specifics like, well, I'd have this kind of car, and I'd live in this particular location, I'd make this kind of money, and I'd have this, I'd have a relationship with these kind of people, and on and on and on. And that's really what success might look like in terms of its specifics, but that's not an actual definition of the word success. I want you to think about that for a minute. When people say, how do you define success? Most people are going to list off some sort of things that would be part of their life and how those things make them feel in order for them to define success. And yet that's not a definition of the word. Why is this important? This is important, my friend, because that's not a definition. Your definition of success is actually going to be very foundational. It's very, very critical that when you define what success the word is, it actually will be the foundation, the underlying piece on which you build all the details of how you would live out success. Let me give you an example of what I mean. If your definition of success is not clear, if your definition of success might set you up to pursue something that's unattainable, it might help you gain something you don't want inadvertently. Okay, so this is really very fascinating. And so here's what I want to do is I want to submit to you an idea, I want to submit to you a definition of success, a working definition, right? Now, I'm not telling you what success is for your life in terms of the details. Maybe it's cars and money and people, maybe it's experiences, maybe it's, I don't know what it is for you, and that's okay, but that's not the point here. I want to introduce a definition of success as a baseline foundation for which to build your life and your dreams, okay? Because if you don't have this definition, this foundation down, and you try to build your house, try to build your dreams on top of something that's kind of weak, well, you don't need to tell me, you don't need to tell you what would happen, okay? What I am going to do is I'm going to share this definition with you, and then I'm going to ask you a few more questions and really let this start to churn inside of you. And so here's the definition of success we're going to work with. Success is getting what you want without sacrificing what you need. I want to let that sink in for a second here. Success is getting what you want without sacrificing what you need. In the world of neurolinguistics, we call this ecology. Okay? Is it good for self? Is it good for others? Is it good for the world as a whole, or the environment as a whole? Right? Is there anything that you could lose from having this success? And so here, based on this definition, okay, one more time, the definition is getting what you want without sacrificing what you need. I'm going to give you a handful of questions for you to ask yourself anytime you're thinking about, how do I become more successful than what I currently am? Or maybe there's another goal that you're after to help you have a greater fulfillment in your life. And so I've even taken some notes here. I'm going to share them with you, but you may want to choose to write these questions down because I found them to be incredibly fruitful, both from my own perspective when I'm deciding what I want in my life and what success is going to look like for me. Because I'll be honest with you, I've pursued things in my life that I thought were success, only to find out that they weren't success for me. And as a matter of fact, once I got there, I got close. I was like, why am I doing this? Okay, here's the questions. First one is, what will I lose if I get it? When you think about whatever you're defining success as, what will I lose if I get it? Now, I know some of you inside are screaming a little bit because, well, wait, when we're goal setting and we're trying to build a big life, Greg, we're supposed to be positive, and you're asking me these negative questions. And no. That's not it at all. Unless we can evaluate that which might not go as well as we'd like it to, how will we avoid it? How will we overcome it? And this is not about being negative. This is about being realistic so that we can overcome that stuff that might get in the way. So when you're defining success, right? What will I lose if I get it? And the question is, would you be okay if you lost that when you got it? Because sometimes in order to be successful, we have to give up something in order to gain something else, right? Letting go is for the purpose of receiving, okay? Here's the next question. What will I gain? If I'm successful, what will I gain? Could I gain something that I don't want to have by being successful this particular way? That's maybe something you've not thought of before. You see, I've pursued success in a particular way where I was so bent on getting this to happen that I didn't realize who I ended up starting to hang out with, meaning who I was collaborating with. And I found out that a little later on I needed to kind of do some pruning of the people who were in my life, because although the pursuit of the particular goal or the particular level of success in and of itself wasn't necessarily bad, it's just that some of the influence and the people I was around wasn't necessarily right for me. Okay, and I started to gain something I didn't necessarily want. Okay, what won't I get if I'm successful at this? Now that's an interesting question to look at. A different perspective. What won't I get if I am successful? Are you okay not getting it? Whatever it is. And then lastly, what will I get if I'm not successful? Now that's an interesting question to ask, because if you don't make it happen, if you aren't successful in that particular area, or in general, what will I get from not being successful? Is there any value in getting it? Is it only pain if we don't succeed? I would submit that it's not, but you have to decide that for yourself. Ultimately, when I'm working as a coach and when I'm sharing things like this with you and I'm teaching and I'm coaching and I'm doing programs and I'm putting out content and on and on and on, it's always to help people live a great life and to do their best work, right? I speak often and teach often on what I call the law of fulfillment, which is about everything that we're after in life is about gaining fulfillment. Everything that we become, everything that we do, everything that we have is in gaining some sort of fulfillment, and or can be likened to success. And yet, we don't often pause to think about, what is success anyway? What is it to me, right? Because there may be a certain characteristics of that, but the underlying definition of success that you're going to build all of those particular details on matters. And I just wanted to share an idea with you that success is getting what you want without sacrificing what you need. We spend as human beings too much of our time pursuing successes and then undoing some of the junk that comes along with the pursuit of those successes. That we picked up stuff along the way that actually prevent and elongate that journey to success. And I just want better things for you. I want great things for you. And I'm sure you already have great things, and those are worthy of celebrating like a pig wallows in slop, while at the same time reevaluating, what does success look like for me today, this year, this decade? I don't know. You got to decide what that looks like, but hopefully this has been helpful to you. Okay? You know I love you, so be great. It's what you're made for, and we'll talk soon.